Greetings, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to the middle of the order. Another TOP for you guys. I hope you guys have been enjoying them. We're so close to the end here, ending on Friday. Second one today, if you missed it, New York Yankees earlier in the day. And by earlier in the day, I mean an hour ago. So check a look at that one after you finish with this one, because we're talking about the Toronto Blue Jays, my Toronto Blue Jays. It's been a tough couple of years, and we're taking a look into 2024 where there isn't a hope. If we're being honest, there's a little bit of upset from the in terms of the free agency. I felt the Blue Jays didn't do a whole lot, considering the luck that they've had and the way they've been playing the last couple of years. So let's dive in. Start talking about them. Last year finished 89-73. They were 15th in runs for, 4th in ERA, and 6th in runs against. They came 3rd in the AL East, 5th in the AL as a whole, and 9th in MLB. They ended up in the 6th seed, despite being 5th in the AL East, because they were better than the Twins, record-wise. The Twins hosted them in a wild card series, and they got swept on the road, losing 2-0 to the Twins. And thus they will have the 20th round pick in this year's MLB draft. Who they added? IKF, coming over from New York to essentially play third base. They re-signed Kevin Kiermaier. They bring over Yadiel Rodriguez from the Japanese League. Justin Turner, kind of the big bat, I guess, that they signed, and the big ad that they had. And then a couple of fun non-roster invitee guys right now: Eduardo Escobar, Daniel Vogelbach, and the recent signing of the Canadian Joey Votto. That's a fun story. 100%. We would love to see Joey Votto playing in Toronto Blue Jays blue for the year, but we'll have to see how he does in spring training now. Who are they losing? Adam Simbar and Jordan Hicks, two key pieces of that bullpen, they're gone. Hyunjin Ryu, one of the bigger signings that they made back in 2020, he's no longer with the team. Matt Chapman gone, Whit Merrifield gone, and Brandon Belt gone. So a few key pieces to the Blue Jays in 2023. The rotation is as follows. Kevin Gausman, the ace of that staff, leads the way. Jose Barrios at the number 2. Chris Bassett, number 3. Yusei Kikuchi at 4. And then right now, Bowden Francis is listed as the 5 because Alek Manoah has had some shoulder soreness in spring training, and he's projected right now on the IL. If he ends up being healthy and starting the year, he would be the 5th starter on that rotation, according to Fangraphs. The bullpen is good. The bullpen has been fun the last couple of years, and they've worked really hard for Toronto. And it starts with the Canadian man himself from Markham, Jordan Romano, the closing pitcher there. Eric Swanson, Yimi Garcia, Tim Meza, Chad Green, Yinis Cabrera. So definitely some options there in the Toronto bullpen, and that's not even saying Yadiel Rodriguez, who right now is listed in AAA. They've got a few kind of major league guys who are right now listed in the farm system, so we'll dive into those as well. The lineup is as follows. George Springer leads things off, playing right field. Bo Bichette at batting second at shortstop. Vladimir Guerrero Jr., the first baseman, bats third. Justin Turner, the DH, batting fourth. Dalton Varsho, left fielder, bats fifth. Alejandro Kirk bats 6th as the catcher. Kevin Kiermaier listed as the 7th hole in center field. IKF at third base is in your 8th. And then Kevin Biggio, the second baseman, bats 9th. The bench, according to Fangraphs, includes Danny Jansen, backup catcher in a sense, but just as good as Alejandro Kirk. Ernie Clement, Davis Schneider, and Nathan Lucas. But yeah, like I said, there's some interesting names in the farm system that, aren't here listed on Fangraphs. Santiago Espinal being one of them. He's been on the Major League team for the last 2-3 years now, and right now he's listed to start the year in AAA. Spencer Horwitz, Yadiel Rodriguez, who I mentioned, and of course, once top prospect Nate Pearson, as well as another Canadian, Zach Pop. So some interesting names here. It'll be interesting to come decision time when the Blue Jays are making their 26-man roster, who of which get placed onto the team. And of course, they have those non-roster invitee guys, Escobar, Vogelbach, and Joey Votto, of course. Taking a look into 2025, they have another, big list of free agents coming up. Danny Jansen headlines it. Justin Turner, Yusei Kikuchi, Kevin Kiermaier, Yimi Garcia, and Trevor Richards, another piece of that bullpen as well. So they've got some choices to be made here, and they've got some work to be done. The last 4 years, the Blue Jays have been very consistent in the regular season at times, and then kind of towards the end trail off and enter playoffs and look awful. They've made the playoffs last 3 times in the last 4 years, where they've been swept all 3 times in the wild card series to the Rays, to the Mariners, and to the Twins. The year that they didn't, 2021, arguably the best team of them all, they missed playoffs by 1 game. That was the year where Vlad came second in the MVP. Marcus Semien had 40-plus home runs, and it was just a strong year for the Blue Jays. And this is the year where it's kind of a make or break. And for the first time, there are a lot of people doubting the Blue Jays entering 2024. Bo Bichette made a comment on that, saying, it's a different feel when, all the hope is kind of gone, and now it's, make it or break it time, and shut up and play. And the same can be said kind of for the Padres. Remember in 2019, 2020, we saw the start of the Blue Jays rise and the start of the Padres rise. And, the Padres a little bit more success, made it to the NLCS last year, or 2 years ago, excuse me. Blue Jays haven't made it to a division series. They haven't gotten that opportunity yet. And, the kids need to start producing now. Bo Bichette, Vladimir Guerrero Jr., these guys need to go. And, hey, not to scare any Blue Jays fans out there, but check your watches, because right now it's 2024. You got 2025 next year, and then 2026, Vladimir Guerrero Jr., Bo Bichette, Kevin Biggio, Jordan Romano, Eric Swanson. All of these guys are free agents, so the clock is, near midnight at this point. No extensions have been made. The Blue Jays didn't do much this offseason, so maybe they're trying to save some money for these guys. But, you've got to be looking to extend and keep Bo Bichette and Vladimir Guerrero Jr. That's a huge part of the team. And, to even look forward, Chris Bassett's also a free agent that year. And then the following year, it's George Springer and Kevin Gausman. So, doth clock strikes on these Blue Jays real soon. So they got maybe a 2-year window at this point. They got to do something. And, if this is the year, we got to see it. From Vladdy, we need to see that 2021 again. He's been an all-star all the last 3 years, but of course 2021 being his best by far. There's no comparison. 48 home runs, a 1.002 OPS. Last year an all-star, 156 games, 159 hits, 26 home runs, 264 batting average, and a 788 OPS. So still okay numbers, but, for the prospect that he once was, for the 2021 season that he had, that's what Blue Jays fans are expecting. That's what, MLB players and fans are thinking and that Vlad should be. The cover of MLB The Show 2024, he needs to do it, because right now he's getting outperformed by Bo Bichette in a way. Bo Bichette's been great since getting his call and since playing. 2-time All-Star. Last year, 135 games, 175 hits, 306 batting average, 814 OPS. He's led the league in hits in both 2021 and 2022, and probably would have done it again last year had he not been hurt for about a month. Which definitely, limited his chances there. 20 home runs for him as well. So that's 3 years in a row of 20-plus home runs. And, these are 2 of your stars, the kids that have had the chances now since 2019, 2020, 1, 2, and now 3. This is going to be their 6th year in the league already. Time has flown by for these baby Jays that are no longer babies anymore. The veteran leader of that clubhouse, George Springer, where has he been? His days with Houston are past him now, but he can still be productive at bat, I feel like. But last year just wasn't it for him as well. 154 games for him, 21 home runs, a 258 batting average, 732 OPS, had 158 hits. when you look at it as a whole, last year as a whole, as like the offense goes, the offense was way down from 2021, from 2022. The offense was shot. And that was to be expected. They traded away Teoscar Hernandez. They traded away Lourdes Gurriel Jr. For guys like Kevin Kiermaier, Dalton Varsho. They traded away offense for defense. And in a way, it worked because they were fourth in ERA and sixth in runs against. The pitching was fantastic, and the defense was definitely a lot better for Blue Jays. They were team Gold Glove winners last year in the AL. So that was, the offense took that major hit, but it wasn't even about losing Teoscar and losing Lourdes. It was guys taking steps back. Bo Bichette, Vlad Springer, Dalton Varsho, Alejandro Kirk. Take your pick. A lot of Blue Jays players weren't batting to the full potential. Matt Chapman had a really hot April and then was ice cold for most of the year going forward. And, for the Blue Jays, like, you got to be better than that. That's, key number one is the offense needs to be better than it was. They still won 89 games, and of course that was due to some excellent pitching. Kevin Gausman, what a season he has had. What a career, since joining the Blue Jays, really, the end of his time with the Giants. Like, he's been around since 2013, and only in the last 3 years, in entering his 30s, has he become this bona fide ace. A 12-9 record, 31 starts, a 3.16 ERA, 237 strikeouts, led the league, 185 innings, an All-Star and third in Cy Young voting. Jose Barrios, for a time, that trade was looking kind of sketchy after a rough 2022 season where he gave up the most earned runs in the league at 100. But last year was much better, 3.65 ERA in all 32 starts, an 11-12 record, so not the best record, but still 189 innings eaten by him, 184 strikeouts, and was the Gold Glove winner as well. So a strong year for him. But it wasn't a strong year for all of the Blue Jays pitchers, as Alek Manoah took a huge step back after debuting in 2021 in what looked like to be a soon-to-be ace of the Blue Jays staff. 2022, extremely kind to him, an all-star, 16-7 record, finished third in Cy Young voting, and was fantastic. And last year was awful. Had to go back to AAA for a few times, made 19 starts in the majors with an 5.87 ERA and a 3-9 record. The control was lost. It was very unlike Alek Manoah in the first 2 years of his career. And I mean, this is one of those hopes for the Blue Jays entering 2024 here, because if they can get Manoah anything close to 2022, and that's your 5-starter, I mean, the best part about this Blue Jays team, you could say, is the rotation. I mean, Chris Bassett and Yusei Kikuchi as well had great years for them. Yusei Kikuchi especially, because he was one of those guys as well where we were talking about him like, a bad contract with the Blue Jays after that first year in 2022, a 5.19 ERA. Last year, he turned it around big time, made 32 starts, 3.86 ERA, an 11-6 record. He was great for the Blue Jays. And that rotation is something to be scared about in the AL East. And, talking about the AL East, we mentioned it with Tampa, we mentioned it with New York, we're going to mention it here, and we're going to mention it with Baltimore. It's a roll of the dice. It's anyone's division but Boston's at this point. Like, you could tell me come the end of September that Tampa Bay wins division, I'd believe you. You could tell me that the Yankees ran away with the division, I would have believed you. You could tell me the Blue Jays surprised all odds and won 100 games, I'd believe you. You could tell me Baltimore did the same thing. Like, the AL East is such a competitive division that it can fall any which way. And for the Blue Jays' sake, the pieces are still there. They still have Vlad. They still have Bo. Justin Turner still had a great year with Boston last year, and now you bring that over. Alejandro Kirk's been tearing it up in spring right now. And like I said, there's so many guys in that farm system that can produce at a major league level, obviously given the reps and the chances. If all things go right, the Blue Jays could be the best team in the AL East very easily, and that's the same for everything, though. It's a matter of now, actually putting it onto the field. And for the last 2-3 years, we've been talking about these Blue Jays as this great team and these young kids and all the talent in the world, and yet we don't see it, and we haven't seen it. So this year, it's not about having hope. It's not about believing in them. It's about doubting them. As baseball fans in general, like when a team is as disappointed for so long, you have to say like, okay, until you do it now, we don't believe you, kind of thing. The same can be said for the Dodgers with the World Series, the Astros with the division. Like when's the last time Houston wasn't in an ALCS? Like they're there. Doesn't matter how rocky this season looks. Like until you do it, take Houston to be in the ALCS. They do it every year. Since what? Since 2017. I want to say since 2017, Houston's been there in the ALCS nearly now 7 years in a row. So yeah, if you don't think Houston's going to be in the ALCS this year, you're wrong. And until they're not, you can't say that they won't be. And that's the thing with the Blue Jays right now. We've said that before. We say, oh, they got the pitching. They have great pitching. The lineup, when all things are going off, I mean, the Blue Jays can put up 10 runs on you every game if the offense is there. Last year, they were very inconsistent, and that was a huge talking point. That's why they finished 15th in runs for, yet still nearly won 90 games. I mean, the Blue Jays can easily do that again, win 90 games with an amazing pitching staff and a mediocre offense. But when push comes to shove, and when you get to playoff time, these Blue Jays need to go. And, like I said, Springer or Bo and Vlad, 2026 free agents. You got 2 years as of right now with no extension, nothing planned, nothing talked about. Vlad and Bo are only Blue Jays for 2 more seasons. That's the window. If you're Toronto, your window is 2 years. You got to go. So do whatever you need, make the trades. They were in on Ohtani this year. How different would we be talking about the Blue Jays had they signed Shohei Ohtani in December? Like that could have been a huge make or break signing for the Blue Jays, from turning them from it's a coin flip into the Blue Jays, into the AL East, versus the Blue Jays have Ohtani. They're the team to beat in the AL right now because, like I said, that pitching is great. Gosman, Barrios, Bassett, Kikuchi. I mean, that's probably one of the best rotations right now in MLB, maybe top 5, because there's a lot of good rotations in baseball, a lot of good teams that we still have to talk about. But I mean, it's a strong 1 through 4 with experience. These guys have been around from 2012, 2013, 15. Like, these guys have been around. The most recent one was Yusei Kikuchi, and I mean, he played in the major leagues, debuting in 2019, but he still had a long career in his job, I think it was the KBO. I'm not sure if it was the KBO or the MVP. But yeah, at the end of the day, the Blue Jays are in a position now where they have a team. They have the offense, they have the pitching, they have a bullpen. Everything on paper looks great. Put it in a 162 season, win the division, or at least get like a higher wild card seed, and actually win a playoff game, win a series. You've got 2 years. Make the moves now. Danny Jansen comes off the books. It's gonna be tricky, but who knows what's gonna happen with these Blue Jays, man? Like, it's very interesting here. One storyline to hope for, no matter if you're a Blue Jays fan or if you're just a fan of baseball as a whole, Joey Votto. I mean, I think everybody wants Joey Votto to be playing Major League Baseball. Give him one more year. Let him retire after this year. He deserves it. 40-year-old, his native country. Let him be on the team. But yeah, there's questions about the roster. Who makes it? Who doesn't? At the start of the season, they've got depth. They've got minor league talent as well. Ricky Tiedemann. The future ace potential, Orlevis Martinez, Addison Barger have been talked about for a long time. So there is, things in the system as well. So there's still pieces to be happy about, but that clock is ticking for Blue Jays fans. And I don't know. What are your thoughts entering 2024? Let me know in the comments. The FanDuel over and under 87.5. I think this is a great line. Very competitive line. The Blue Jays definitely, years prior have been dancing around low 90s, high 80s. Like I said, if all things click, the Blue Jays are going to be a great team. And that AL East division is going to be a battle, no matter who you want to cheer for and root for. I mean, it can go either which way. But at 87.5, I'm going to put some faith in the Blue Jays. I'm going to put some faith in Vlad to have a 2021 season. I'm going to put some faith in the defense to continue to put up numbers. Definitely put stock in that rotation because it's a great rotation. Give me the over on 87.5. I think they do it. I think they're going to be, part of the postseason in some shape, form. However, whether it be a sweep of the wild card series or a potential, ALCS World Series berth. I think the Blue Jays are going to be in the mix. I think they'll be a good team. And I think a big part that I even missed here that to throw in quickly here at the end, the Blue Jays were awful against AL East teams. That is step number one. You can't be going, 4-12 or whatever the record was against Tampa Bay and Baltimore and New York. You got to win those games. That's, the Blue Jays were maybe 10 games better in the AL East than they were. They might have won the division over Baltimore or Tampa. They need to play good against a division. And I'm not talking about just Boston. I'm talking about Yankees, talking about Tampa, talking about Baltimore. They got to win those games. Those games are the most important ones for sure. But yes, leave your thoughts in the comments below. Thank you, everybody, so much for listening to the TOP of the Toronto Blue Jays. We're down to the last 3 days. We're down to the last 6 teams. Leave your thoughts. Who's it going to be? Who's going to be the number 1 and 2 on Friday? Who's going to be 5 and 6 tomorrow? I'll give you a hint. They're from the same division. That should be pretty obvious for you guys. Thank you, everybody, so much, and I will see you tomorrow.